700 times in the clip and bleep it out. And everyone's cool because it's a Disney Channel. Ramona and Matt are here to play, and they've got signs to prove it, guys. All right, here we are. We ready? First up, Zion Williamson has wasted no time in throwing down dunks during the preseason. When asked by ESPN's Eric Woodyard if he's going to participate in this year's dunk contest, he said he's a, quote, game-time decision. Matt, BS or real talk? Oh, wow. I think I'm going real talk. Why do you think it's BS?
Why game time? You know he's going to be in the dunk contest.
I don't know anything anymore, man. It was a time when you look at him.
Dunk contest. I definitely think hopefully him, Levine, Aaron Gordon, and maybe one more jumper. And I think it'll be probably one of the better dunk contests we've seen in a while. But I think he's definitely going to be in.
I think he's going to be in, but I think there is going to be a real talk about whether he will. I mean, he should be in there. I will be disappointed if he's not in there, but this is also a guy they shut down for the summer pretty quick, that they have put basically in bubble wrap because they don't want him to get hurt or overused, and who knows where they're at.
I can't wait for Coach K to tell us he's already doing too much. He's doing too much. Why should he do a dunk contest?
But I do think he will be in it. I
don't know. Especially if they're in a playoff picture.
I know.
There might be. I mean,
look, we're still. Look, has LeBron James ever been in a dunk contest?
No.
Remember he promised that one year.
Like I said, I think he's in there.
Let me ask you guys this:
Speak it into being.
Who would you take in a dunk contest between Zion and Zach LaVine, who had his own show last night?
Zach flies.
Zach in Chicago too.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting, because although Zion is a very powerful dunker, you've seen like in his high school tapes and all that kind of stuff, he's got some trickery to his dunks as well. So I mean, in a slam dunk format contest, it's gonna be ugly.
It's that hometown crowd though.
Yeah. He's gonna probably have the Jordan jersey underneath everything and dunk from the free throw line. He can windmill from the free throw line, by the way. Zach LaVine can. Yeah, he wipes with the one hand.
The only thing I ask is no gimmicks. Just go out there and dunk. I don't need a plane out there or a microphone or something.
Gimmicks have got corny, haven't they? Just go out there.
Just go and dunk. You guys are good at it. Just do it. All right. Next up, the reigning MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo saw his first preseason action Wednesday night. The Greek Freak showed little signs of rust and was dunking all over the Utah Jazz, as we showed you earlier in the show. Giannis finished with 22 points in 21 minutes of action. After the game, Giannis told The Athletic, quote, "A lot of my teammates were talking to me and told me to relax a little bit. It's your first game. You're going to be rusty. But it doesn't matter how rusty you are skill-wise. You can always put in the effort," right? Ramona, the Bucks thinking that Giannis needs to chill. Is this BS or real talk? Oh, yeah. That's good. Yeah? All right. This one's easy, right? It's a preseason game.
It's early.
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
But that's how he's wired. That's how he got to be the MVP in the first place.
One speed. And like we said earlier, I mean, oddly enough to think that an MVP has more to prove. And like I said, I think there's going to be a major chip on his shoulder this year, and he's going to have an amazing season this year.
Look, they didn't win last year. He didn't have the kind of World Cup that he wanted internationally. I think that he's heard the criticism that he doesn't shoot well from the outside. He's heard all of that. And he's got something to say about it.
Yo, how did Conley get matched up on him right there? That's just not fair.
That switch.
Poor Mike.
That's when you yell, "Where the hell at?" How likely do you think it is that he repeats his MVP?
He doesn't have the narrative anymore. And I think, the Bucks were such a great story last year. He was such a great story. But it's kind of like Steph, right? When Steph started winning MVPs, it was like every year he does that. You expect that of them. So it's going to be hard for him to top what he did last year. It's going to be hard for Milwaukee to top. And there's so many other teams out west and so many other stars that have that narrative set right up.
Let me ask you this, because you brought this up earlier. How often can we talk about an MVP who's got so much more room to grow? What if he comes back and he's shooting threes? Not great, but definitely decent enough where you have to respect it. Matt?
I mean, I definitely think he's in the mix, along with, I think Steph is going to have some vengeance this year. I think James is obviously going to be James,
Anthony Davis.
LeBron, and AD. So I think it's going to be a 5-horse race, and I think any of them have a great chance to win.
Y'all keep forgetting about Joel Embiid.
I'm with you on that.
All right, next up, Kevin Love is the oldest player on the rebuilding Cavs and should be near the top of any players likely to be traded this season list, but says he's happy on his current team. He told Cleveland.com, quote, "I do want to be here. I always have. I say that knowing it's the NBA and it's a business. I think especially after seeing last year, the summer leading up to last year, and this summer, the changeover is like unprecedented, so you don't know what's going to happen." All right, guys, let's try to do this one all at the same time. BS or real talk? Oh, yeah. I love the unanimous BS. Matt, translate what Kevin Love is actually saying.
He's just saying everything he should be, being politically correct, knowing Cleveland just gave him that big deal, 2 years ago. And like he said, Kevin has always been someone that just gone out there and played and never really ruffled any feathers. Obviously, an aging player on a rebuilding team, I'm sure he would like a shot at getting another title before he's done, but he's saying everything he's supposed to say.
Yeah, I mean, look, he wants to be there. He's going to be a nice guy. He's not going to cause any problems. But it's a business, as he says. And if things were to happen,
look, stand in the way. I always tell players, man, you don't owe any obligation to the media to tell the truth about these kind of things. Lie all the time. So I love you. I don't want to go anywhere. And then when you get traded, well, I liked it, but it's a new day or whatever. Definitely go run with that lie. But the one thing I would say also about his situation in particular, Cleveland and Charlotte, I think, are the two teams that are the furthest to go in terms of rebuild. I mean, if he were on the Suns, if he were on the Bulls, one of these other teams that aren't good, but at least you could say, okay, they've got something's happening here. I may want to be a part of this rebuild. But right now in Cleveland, and this is not a knock at any of the young players they have on the team, but just it's not that caliber of player. There is no Kristaps Porzingis or Doncic or Trae Young or someone like that to get excited about. It's a lot of decent players, but there's still got some massive holes there.
I'm sure it's hard to leave sunny Cleveland as well.
Shout out to Joakim Noah. You ever want to go to Cleveland? Everyone want to do that for vacation? Who would be interested in Kevin Love?
I mean, there's a lot of teams. Portland is one that you've frequently heard mentioned. Boston is another team that needs some front court help, obviously. So there's a lot of teams that I think on the list of like top 5 players most likely to get traded during the year. He's definitely on that list. He has a lot of years and money left on that deal, though, and he has not been healthy the last few years. So that makes it difficult to trade him, especially mid-season.
You hit it on the head. I think a healthy Kevin Love can help anybody. People forget how dominant he was, and although he's getting up there in years, was he 32, 33, around that age? He's still got a few more years, but I think his health is a big concern. But he can definitely, a healthy Kevin Love could help anybody. Yeah,
I mean, Portland, I think, is the one interesting one because obviously he's from there, but they've kind of missed that third piece this whole time that CJ and Dame have been brought them to prominence, and they've had a lot of success, but they've just missed that third guy, and I think Kevin Love could be that. All right, Ramona, you got a fight to catch in San Francisco. Cover tonight's Warriors preseason game against the T-Wolves. Thanks for joining us, and tell Steve Kerr to...
We'll see what he says.
Yeah, I want to hear what he has to say after his name was thrown out there a little bit. It's not like the West where you have that hyper-competitive race from day one. You can't give up any time. I'll tell you one thing I want to see. They did this in the G League a few years ago, where the top seeds get to pick who they play. The 1 seed picks out of all the lower seeded teams.
I don't know.
Out of 5, 6, 7, 8, you pick who you want to play, and then the 2 picks whoever's left, and then the 3, and then obviously 4 picks whoever's last. I like that. I think it would add some juice to it, and it still keeps your conferences. It still keeps that. It's something that I think we can all get behind.
By the way, I know you're playing hurt right now. Elena Delle Donne play with a herniated disc in her back. That's like Larry Bird.
I feel your pain in my thumb. As promised, here's Rachel Nichols from Shanghai with Richard Jefferson and 7-time champion Robert Horry. Take it away.
7.
Welcome back to the Jump in Shanghai, or as I like to call it, Tall People Theater. I'm back with Richard Jefferson and joined now by 7-time NBA champion, Big Shot Robert Horry, legend of the game. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
This is very, very cool. You've been to China before. I don't know if you've ever been to China like this. Can you compare the drama of the past couple days to other times you've been over here?
Man, the drama is a different type of drama. Usually when you come out, the crowds are hectic because they want to see the players, and they come out in droves. But now, this field was a little bit different. It's like they wanted to cheer but not cheer. They still came out, which I'm happy about. But the Chinese fans are such great fans, and it was just hard to see this situation happen because I know the fans love basketball, and it just wasn't what it used to be.
Now, when did you feel like you really knew this game was going to happen tonight? Because it was touch and go.
When I drove to the arena.
Really?
That's when I knew the game was a go because you never knew what was going to happen. You never knew if they was going to cancel the game or just get here and the people weren't going to show up. But the fans came out. They loved the atmosphere. They loved the game. So I was very proud that they did come out to watch a great game.
Did you have any conversations with any of the players on either team that stuck with you about how they've been dealing with the past couple days?
Well, from what I was hearing, they was a little worried, because players are already worried about security. And this situation was very difficult because it's unprecedented. This has never happened. So I think everything turned out well. They were more comfortable. They came out and they put on a good show.
Well, we had a basketball game. So let's talk basketball for the first time. It feels like we've been here 5 or 6 days. We've talked about everything but the actual basketball game. 7-time champion. Lakers, new addition. The Brooklyn Nets with some new additions. Obviously, the entire league has changed. But let's talk about the Lakers specifically. What have you seen from them that I think, can kind of lead them into this season and give the Laker fans some hope?
I think defensively they got better. We all know what LeBron can do and what AD can do. But if you really look at their team, adding Danny Green gave him some defense on the perimeter, and they already got KCP, who's a good defensive person. And when you got JaVale McGee and AD behind you and Dwight Howard, those are some premier shot blockers. So we always talk about offense in this day and age, but I think when it comes down to the playoffs, you got to be able to play some defense down the stretch. And with that team, they got a good defensive team.
Now, talking to a former Laker, a champion Laker, did you think lightning would strike down before you saw Dwight Howard back in an LA Laker uniform?
No, I would not. And wearing Kobe Bryant's shoes, never, never.
That's the biggest shock. That's the biggest shock.
Yeah, but I think Dwight understands that now, he's not Dwight Howard of Orlando. He's Dwight Howard now. And he could be a good sixth man, a guy who can go in and block some shots and rebounds and get some points when needed. But, Dwight Howard was the guy who was like, I got to score. But, basketball for you right now is not about scoring. It's about defense and getting rebounds.
Let's talk about the Lakers' size, right? They started Dwight Howard. They started Anthony Davis. Obviously, Kuzma's out, so there's going to be an adjustment to their starting lineup. But you saw the early rim runs by Anthony Davis, the offensive glass by JaVale, because you got to box out. You're going to take 2 people to box out one of those guys. Do you think that's going to be an advantage for them, that size? Because that's not traditional in today's day and age with the NBA.
Yeah, you haven't seen that since the early 2000s with guys like, David Robinson and Tim Duncan. And that's going to be crucial because, everybody wants to shoot threes nowadays. So there's going to be a lot of shots taken. This game is sped up, so it's going to be a lot of offensive rebounds. That's something that we don't talk about. But if you look at the way AD can rebound, and you got JaVale over there rebounding, it's going to be crucial second shots because second shots wins games for you.
Yeah.
All right, now before we let you go, I am going to make Robert retell my favorite story from an interview you and I did years ago. Richard, I don't know where you keep your championship ring. Why don't you ask Robert at one point where he kept his 7 championship rings? You want to tell him?
I'm curious.
Well, when we did an interview, she asked me this question. I was like, well, they're at home in the drawer in the bathroom. They were just sitting in the drawer in the bathroom. And the crazy part about that, at the time,
this is the best part.
I was trying to sell my house. So if you'd have walked in my house and just opened the drawer in my bathroom, you're like, wow, jewelry, here we go. And 7 championship rings was sitting there. And it was just like I had no place to put them.
You've moved them since, right?
Yeah,
this was a long time ago.
Anybody that knows Robert, if anybody's looking for a Christmas gift for him, a nice display case with his name, number, the years, and just a place for 7 rings.
I just at the time I was like, where does one keep 7 rings? It turns out in the bathroom drawer.
Yeah.
So there you go. Those days are past. It was great to see you out on the court today, being honored. All these fans were going crazy while we were waiting to set up this segment. People were screaming for Robert in the stands just now, so I'll let you get back to them. But thank you very much.
Oh, thanks for having me always. Thank you.
Excellent.
Good to see you guys.
Excellent. And we'll see you guys back.